sushi crimes that the customers commit. So like me, like I used to use a fork when I went in. My kids would give me a hard time. What do you, I'm thinking that's a crime. If you're using a fork in Mikuni's, don't even ask for the fork. What other top sushi crimes exist that you see the customers doing?
Well, I wrote a book about it too, but...
Yes, this is the Mark Haney Show on a mission to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution right here in the hometown we love. And we do that by building the Backyard Advantage, the most connected community in the world for local entrepreneurs. And it's based around this culture of love, right? Helping your fellow entrepreneur, helping your fellow Sacramentan, helping your fellow man, your fellow person. So it really is about trying to do the right thing in our small business community here in Sacramento. And today on the show, we have somebody who I've respected for a long time. In fact, we're coming up on the 10th anniversary of our show, and Taro Arai was one of the first episodes we shot in year one, and such a wonderful human being. And I have the chance now to bring him back 10 years later. A lot has changed, but maybe as we set this up, I want to set this up by recognizing that if you like me, you will love Taro, right? So we have a lot in common. He was born in Japan. I was born in Japan. You delivered the Sacramento Union, right?
Sacramento Bee.
Oh, Sacramento Bee. Oh, I was the Union. Okay. You went to Oakmont High School in Roseville, as I did.
Wow.
You do yoga. I do yoga. You're a Kings fan.
Oh, yeah.
And you're a grandfather now.
Yes.
So a lot in common, but you're a much nicer person than I am. And you're going to find out, if you've never heard, you probably know who Mikuni's is, right? The restaurant Mikuni, they're all over the place. We're going to find out about his business, but you're going to learn through this episode what a really genuine business owner sounds like, feels like, if you're watching on YouTube, what he looks like. So I hope you check into YouTube, because Taro always will wow you with what he's wearing and the way he presents himself. So welcome to the show, Taro.
Thank you so much.
I
can't believe
honored.
it's been 10 years.
It has been 10 years. I am honored that you are here.
I still have that frame that you gave me with the picture together. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, well, you didn't throw it in the garbage?
No.
Thank you. I
Up in my garage, I see it every day when I go out.
Awesome. Yes. All right. So I don't want to let you to forget me.
No.
And I see you once in a while. In fact, I saw you the other night. Those of you that don't know, you've heard of Mikuni's Restaurant, but Taro is the face of the business in many ways. He's like a celebrity chef, and he's also very, very, very well known throughout our region and beyond, because you have sort of a personality that's bigger than life. And so people tend to get to know you. But if you don't, today you will get that opportunity. So with that said, maybe I'll ask you, tell me about the origin story. You moved here from Japan as a younger person, and ultimately, after the newspaper route, you ended up starting a restaurant.
Yeah. So my name is Taro, means first son. Arai, last name means wild. So my full name means wild first son. I didn't have myself. My parents did. So I was a wild kid in Japan, and if you go have you been to Japan?
I have, yes.
Yeah, so people are very nice and buy the book, but I wasn't. Wow. So I got in, I don't know, you can guess. And everything I did, I got in trouble. So I told my dad I can't be myself, and he suggested America is a good place for me to go.
Wow.
So I was 11 years old, so I started doing a newspaper writing in Japan first, and raised $6,000, and then I decided to come to the United States.
Wow.
When I was coming, my parents, my brother, my sister all said, I think you have enough money to pay for us too. So I ended up paying for the whole family to move to America.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how we got to America.
Amazing. And did you, how did you decide where to locate within America?
Okay, so we have no idea where to go. And then my dad has been a pastor all his life. And then we found the Japanese-speaking church needed a Japanese-speaking pastor in Sacramento. So we didn't know where Sacramento was.
I've never heard of Sacramento before.
No, we knew LA, New York.
Yeah.
So we ended up coming here. And because of that, it was a miracle. We got a green card within a month.
Wow.
But only problem was there were only 3 members who spoke Japanese.
Oh, okay.
So they paid my dad $450 a month. This is back in 85. Yet that wasn't that much. That is why my brother and I did a newspaper route. My mom, sister, do the housework, and we collect cans and cardboards.
Yes.
That's how we.
That's amazing.
Did that
so you
first 2
got
years.
here, and it was humble beginnings, very humble beginnings. Now, and maybe we'll walk through the journey. But now, how many restaurants do you have now?
So the thing is, my dad had a vision, dream, and he started telling us we're gonna open the restaurant. Right? He had no business plan, business concept. He never cooked in his lifetime. He still doesn't know how to use the microwave. He's telling me we're going to open. I said, that's not possible because we had no money, no English. We didn't know anyone. But we met the gentleman on the street, gave us $300,000 to start our business. And now, like you said, miracles after miracles. We have 10 locations and 1,400 people working for us.
Oh, my goodness.
We did about $90 million in sales last year.
Oh, my goodness.
But again, we couldn't have done it without, of course, God and without people in Sacramento area, because I don't deserve to be where I am right now without them.
How old were you when the restaurant started?
17.
You were 17,
Yeah.
so immediately the whole family was working in the restaurant?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And then I was going Oakland High School, and then I asked my friends to eat sushi back then. Not even one wanted to try it.
Sushi, fish?
Yeah.
Raw fish?
Yeah, why don't you cook it right? But so that's why they used to call me Mr. No Problem, because whenever they ask me, who is your favorite teacher? I didn't speak much English. I said, no problem. So I carry that in the business too. So they said, they love hot dogs. I said, no problem. I made a hot dog rolls for
that's
them.
great.
If they want hamburgers, I made a miso happy burger roll. That was pretty good. So that was a beginning of the business.
And where was the first location?
One in Fair Oaks.
The one in Fair Oaks, the one that you still have now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on, is that Hazel?
Yeah, it's the Winding Way.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Okay. Now you're up to 10, so we'll dive more into that. And I'm going to tease this for later in the show. For those of you who may not know, and probably most of you do not know, but Taro brought on some new business partners recently, and it hasn't been really told that much in the press, but we're going to share a little bit about that at the end of the show. So stick around. We'll find out more about Taro and Mikuni's and get to know them a little bit. And then at the end of the show, we're going to share about this new partnership and what it means to Taro and for Mikuni's and for people who love sushi. So it's going to be great. Okay, so with that said, Scott, my co-pilot over here, he suggested that, like, I like sushi. My family loves sushi, right? Their favorite restaurant is Mikuni's. They always want to go to Mikuni's, and I started off maybe not reluctant to go to Mikuni's, but a little afraid of sushi.
Yeah, of course.
I was just a little afraid. It's like maybe your high school buddies. I was like, hey, I don't know. So gradually you go and it tastes great. It's fantastic. But still getting comfortable with the utensils and the etiquette and stuff like that, it has been sort of a learning process for me. So Scott came up with the idea of asking you about sushi crimes that the customers commit. So like me, I used to use a fork when I went in. My kids would give me a hard time. What do you? I'm thinking that's a crime. If you're using a fork in Mikuni's, don't even ask for the fork. What other top sushi crimes exist that you see the customers doing?
Well, I wrote a book about it too, but there is so many things that we shouldn't do at sushi bar if you follow the history of sushi. I teach sociology class too. But again, I'm in America. I'm the Mr. No Problem. So there's no crime until you get caught, I guess. But
you got ranch dressing? What? No, we don't have ranch dressing.
No, I'll never say no to anybody. I'll do anything. That's why we created so many roles. Like, I still remember Johnny, he was dentist. He said, I want spicy tuna with sweet eel together. In Japan, we never do that. But I say, you know what? No problem. I might not eat it, but I'll make it for you, right? But that was one of the best sales rolls too. Like making Fair Oaks roll. That's our number 9th creative rolls. We use fried shrimp, which is big no-no in Japan back then. I don't know rolls. So we made it Fair Oaks roll. That was one of the best roll we're still selling until this day. And then we end up creating over 300 rolls, like Marilyn Monroe for Marilyn.
Oh, wow.
I'm on a roll, DMC roll. But then it gradually keep making more rolls, more chefs, and they said they can't memorize all 300 rolls. So we cut it down to about 50 or 60 now. But meanwhile, have you ever tried rescue rolls?
Is it hot?
Well, the thing is, when disaster happened in Japan, tsunami, we created a roll. We decided 100% of the sales goes to Japan. Please help us to raise money. And within 2 weeks, 1,800 rolls were sold. We ended up raising $180,000 for Japan. So since then, how about a Houston flood, 50,000, Cal fire, 75,000. Wow. I mean, latest one is the Maui fire. Within 2 weeks, we raised $100,000.
Oh my goodness.
So even Fox, De'Aaron Fox was here. We created a Fox roll for him and raised $50,000 every year for the breast cancer. Navigator program, we end up raising $1 million for them too. But this community is amazing. Every time we do rescue roll, I don't even have to tell people. They already know. They say, hey, are you doing the rescue rolls?
Well, you're known for your active giving back in the community. You've mentioned a few things, but I know there's many, 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 many more. I know, so I'm not going to. If you want to describe them, you can.
I'm not golf tournament too. We raised almost $5 million too for a charity, and I couldn't even
You've given to our charities too. I don't even know if you have, but you've given to our veteran cause and stuff like that. So
least we can do to give back, right? Because without God, without people in Sacramento, like I said, we're not here right now. Yeah. So everything I have is all rental. Oh. Yeah, I want to give back to.
I was going to ask you where that came from, but it sounds like you just described it. It's about God, and it's about the people that have been here alongside you and to support you along the way.
I love Sacramento. I love people in Sacramento. Some people said, America is dying. I love America. I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you. I love America. I love this freedom. I mean, everything I have around me, I'm so blessed. Every morning, I just can't stop smiling.
Do you ever turn on the media? Do you ever watch the news?
Yeah, I have to
but when you hear, so like when you hear somebody say the American dream is over, is dead, what's your response?
That's why I can't. Every opportunity I get like this, I want to share my story, share what I think, because I'm living in American dream. I'm living the dream. Yeah. So thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. And I know it wasn't easy. Can you describe the, a lot of businesses have sort of a near-death sort of many of those moments, but can you describe one and maybe how you got through the tough time along the way?
There's so many of them. Especially like... financially, do you know Denver store we used to have back in 2000?
I remember you having that, yeah.
So 2005, 6, 7, we're doing so good. We hired a new CEO, and he did all the work for me. I started kind of drifting away a little bit. In 2008, we opened one in Denver. We spent like $3 million, $3.5 million. And as you know, 2008, 9, 10, economy crashed, and we lost about $5 million on the store.
Ooh.
And more I studied about our restaurant, and found that we had $11 million in debt that I didn't know about because I was so careless. And I told my dad I made a mistake, like when we go back to the beginning of our business, we did so bad. I told my dad we haven't paid 6 months in rent. I have nothing to sell to pay for fish, so we had no fish to sell. We're the only fisherman in the whole world. Couldn't buy any fish to sell. It was frustrating. And also, I broke my ankle, couldn't go to the doctor. My dad kept telling me, just keep digging. keep dreaming, keep digging. Deeper the foundation, God can build something amazing upon. I kept believing that. And he said, it's not about what you know, but who you know. And you do your best and let God do the rest. So we go back to 2011. We found that $11 million debt. And then we have to buy our CEO out. Back then, it was, I don't know what to do. So I told my lawyer, and the lawyer said, okay, let's file the bankruptcy. So I called my dad, what do you think? He said, you know what, son, keep digging. So that's when we started. You know what? It's not about fame, building. It's about people. It's about God. Go back to basic. So we opened a restaurant called Kaizen, which means continuous improvement, change for the better. We changed the whole attitude toward work and business and life and everything altogether at that moment. It was not easy. We asked our core group, our corporate office, they all cut 40% of their pay.
Oh, wow.
Whoever wants to stay. A lot of people left. And but through that, we learned so much how to do the right way. And then without that, we're not here right now. We learned how to make money too. And it was a very expensive lesson. Yet my dad always told me, enjoy your suffering. I said, why? Suffering make you patient, and patient to good character to hope. So I kept telling myself that we're going to keep having our hope. And then 2000, I was a chief dreaming officer, CDO. So I said, you know what? I'm going to keep dreaming no matter what's going on around us. And here we are right now.
Yeah, I remember I don't know if it was the last time I was at Mikuni's, but I was a month ago or so, maybe 2 months ago. So I think I've been in there since. But we were at a sociology class, and you were not teaching it, but your brother-in-law.
Oh yeah, brother.
Your brother. Oh, is it your brother?
My brother now.
Oh, your brother now. Oh, but he's your brother-in-law.
No, he's brother-in-law is my CEO.
Oh, okay.
And that's my real brother.
Yeah, your real brother was teaching. Okay. So your real brother was teaching it, and your brother-in-law, he knew who I was, which I didn't know that he did.
Okay.
He came up. He was super gracious and kind, and I'm like, you know who I am? Yeah, I know who you are. So I was like, wow. And your brother did a great job. He kept apologizing because he's not you, but he's good. He's really good. So it was a great experience for me and my kids and their spouses.
Thank you for taking a class.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun. So anyway, I just meant to say, having your family in the business that are so, I guess, supportive and capable, that's got to be, you're so lucky to have that, or so blessed to have that.
Yeah, now my son is running a lot of stores now, and then my daughter is marketing director, and then we had a good talk today too. We had a meeting with LA people who are taking over one of those restaurants too. So,
well, one of your sons was in financial planning?
Yes, that's my number 3.
Okay.
Well, he made like 32% last year, so he's doing something right.
Sounds like a really nice guy. And then one of your daughters is a really good golfer.
Golfer, and then she does the real estate.
Yeah,
I think she's
selling,
I don't know, over 10 houses a year.
Oh my goodness.
She just closed like 3 houses this month. So
that's something we have in common too. My daughters are in real estate too. So so that's a good.
I want them to work for us, but I guess they get more money than what we can pay.
Who's a better golfer, you or your daughter?
Well, I make her play from my tee.
Okay.
Then I have a chance.
Yeah.
If she, play from 4 no chance.
Tee. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
She was my inspiration. Like for golf, she had no talent in sports. Yet she didn't want to pay for school because I didn't pay for school, college. So she practiced 3 hours a day.
Wow.
And got a full scholarship, and ended up winning the tournament too. So when I saw her, I said, wow, I got to keep trying. I know I have a hope in everything I do.
So your dad is such an inspiration, but what else inspires you today? What's inspiring you now? Because your culture at Mikuni's is much, much different than let's say a typical restaurant. It's very warm, it's friendly, it's fun. I was telling you earlier, you brought me all these gifts. You brought me a bunch of gifts, and I know that my granddaughter's favorite restaurant is they like to go to the Mikuni's in Roseville. And on your birthday you can spin the wheel. So last year she turned 13. She spun the wheel, and she got to pick. Even at 13, she's super excited about getting her toy. And but it's things like that just you walk in, it's buzzing in a real positive way. Where is that? How did you dream up all that?
Okay, our mission statement is to be the most loving and loved company in the world. So we don't have to make best sushi or, looking nice. It's all about loving them, and we want to be loved by you guys too.
Yeah.
So that's my dream, and that's our goal. And we have a core values too, but everything kind of related to loving others and loving.
Interesting. Well, I mean, when did you come up with the mission statement? When did that begin?
So going through the hardest time, I said, what's the most important things for life and for business? And it's all about love. Mm-hmm. That's what we decided.
So basic.
Yeah, basic. Yeah, people forget. If you have love, everything will be okay.
Even in business, you're supposed to love each other?
Yes, we do.
I know, it's amazing. That's amazing. I'm inspired by that as well. And at the beginning of the show, I talked a little bit about this backyard advantage, this culture of love. So I believe in that too, yet somebody might smirk that hasn't been exposed to it, but why do they love Mikuni so much? Because of the love they feel, and they don't even know that it's love. Maybe they just know they like it and they know it makes them happy. So it's working, obviously.
But again, I have to show it with my actions, right? I took my boys' trip. I was telling them what to do, how to Kaizen yourself, and then I asked them, how can I be a better father? I should get suggestion, right? Wow. They kept writing.
I got writer's cramp, Dad.
I don't need a book. Can you tell me, let's say 1 age? And my younger son said, why don't you follow your own advice? I said, whoa, that's like what? Well, you told me not to text and drive. I see you doing. I said, well, because I'm special. No, I realized I shouldn't be just talking and telling them what to do. I should show with my action. So since then, I have a new goal every year. I have something to quit every year, make sure I'm not addicted to anything. For example, like I asked my wife too, how can I be a better human? Oh, she started writing and writing. We can always improve. Right? So I told her, can I start with one? She said, yeah, you love sharing. I said, I love sharing. Why don't you think before you speak? I said, like what? There's THINK. T, is it true? H, is it helpful? I, is it inspiring? N is a hard one for me. Is it necessary? K, is it kind? If not, so sad. So whole year, I have to think before I speak. I was becoming a mute because everything I said wasn't really necessary, right?
Well, it's interesting on that because you're in the position you're in Mikuni's, and even as the father in the family, you probably feel sort of an obligation to communicate the vision, communicate the mission, communicate the values, and you've got to share and you've got to be vocal. It's part of what leadership is about. Right. So to muzzle that too much is, unhelpful to the business. But
well, I mean, one of my goals is to be more compassionate. I'm so happy every day. I'm so dry, and then, for example, let's say somebody's dog is dying. I'll say, it's about time to get a new dog, right? I'm already thinking about next thing, but that's not how I should be. I should be crying with them. I should be have empathy. So these goals are very important to me. So following year, I told my wife, why I'm the only one talking? Why don't you talk then? She said, well, maybe next year you can do how to be a better listener. That was an amazing year. All the managers asked me the same question, so I already have prepared the answer. I said, you know what, maybe I should listen to them from my heart. I learned how to listen. I listen to learn. It was like, wow. This is amazing.
I'm still working on that.
Oh, yes. This is not easy for me.
So, but my take on you, and this is... I mean this sincerely, you're a very outwardly positive person. You are super humble. You're admitting, areas where you want to improve.
Oh, yes.
But you're the nicest guy in the world. Do you ever get mad? You ever get angry? What happens when you get pissed off?
Funny thing is, I used to be short temper. I used to throw sushi at my sister, and the customers had to stop for a fight. That's how I was. But I told my dad, how do I do this? And then if you want to open business, if you want to grow, you can't be that way. You have to learn how to be happy. So my goal was to be the happiest man ever. And somebody cut me off on the freeway. Oh, thank you for not hitting me. I'm going to pray for you. I was so happy, right? But about 4 or 5 years ago, one of the Facebook friend ladies said, I had a dream about you. I said, I'm sorry. I'm already married. I said, no, I got to tell you this. So she came all the way to my parents' house. She said, I had a dream that you have to be the most joyous. I said, I'm already the happiest. And then I realized, I guess I don't have to choose to be happy anymore. I'm going to ask God to give me joy from within. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I don't share like this, I feel like I'm going to blow up.
Okay, so let's help me define this. Is the difference between happy and joyous? Is joyous like outwardly showing that you're happy?
No, happy is like depends on sometime environments. I can be happy or sad. Okay. So I choose to be happy. I have to be happy no matter what. But nowadays, I believe, I don't know, maybe lost in translation. But
I'm slow. I'm a C student from Oakmont High School.
Joy is coming from within. If I don't share like this, I feel like I'm going to blow up. And more I share, I don't know, God is giving me more joy inside. People say, your cup is always half full. I say, you have no idea. I got a bucket and overflowing 24/7. So even my wife said, why are you smiling in the morning? I said, I'm still here. I'm so happy I have another opportunity to share my joy with others.
Okay, so she gets up. I'm imagining you get up and you're getting around and, you run into her in the morning and she's maybe didn't get enough sleep that night, and you got the joyous, Taro, the really joyous guy coming out. Does that ever make her mad?
Not mad, but she always like,
she's
wow.
Like, quit, tone it down a little bit, dude. Yeah. I haven't even had my first cup of coffee yet.
Yeah, that's how I am. Every moment of my life now, I can't just stop smiling.
That's amazing.
I don't know.
Well, so customers love you. What, any moments where you've just been over, besides the lady from Facebook, any other moments that have sort of wowed you from customers about the way that they feel about your company, feel about you, and, just the customer experience aspect? Is there anything that has amazed you?
Amazed me? Yeah, I mean, so many customers are so supportive, and, we have a cookie club, the members.
Okay,
and stuff.
Yes.
We have so many black card, which they spend $10,000. And we have more than 30 red card members, which spend $100,000.
A red card member spends $100,000?
I mean, that's crazy to me.
He's hungry. Got a big family? Got a big company? He's got a big company.
Maybe. But anyway, we have those customers.
Wow, that's loyalty.
Oh.
You're going to spend. They prepay for it too, probably, huh?
So, but some customers are not like that, right?
Yeah.
But those customers, the one teaches me so many things. Like, that's good.
Like a customer complaint?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if people say you're doing great, then I can't learn much, right? But whenever people say, you suck, you do this, I say, oh, yes, tell me. Yeah. I'm ready.
Some details.
I'm ready. How can I improve? How can we do better? So those customers excites me every time they tell me, like even atheist lady said, every time you mention God, my stomach goes upside down. I say, oh, wow, okay. Maybe we can meet and, God, it feels like God opened the door for me to reach out to her. Yeah. And she never went to Mikuni, but she found my page.
Oh, gosh.
So now she said, hey, I'm going to go and try it. So I don't know. It always works mysterious way, miracle way.
That's amazing.
So every negative thing is for me, so I can improve. So I'm waiting for it.
So what's your advice on other people that are thinking about building a personal brand or being the face of their company? And, it's obviously worked for you. Is there a certain way that you made it work? Are there certain tips around building that personal brand that is actually the perfect representation for the company?
Oh, you're the legend. You should just talk, but I don't know. For me, I just want to be authentic. I want to be true to myself, who I am. Sometime, during the COVID or during the Black Lives Matter, a lot of things happen. But meanwhile, for a while, I went through my daughter first to fix my English. And then I sent it to my CEO, COO, marketing director back then to make sure I'm not hurting anybody. So I learned how to be, I want to be truthful, yet I don't want to hurt anybody. I want to be more compassionate. So I learned along the way too.
That's cool. I guess we're always learning.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get into the new partnership. I teased this at the beginning of the show that you have brought on some new partners. There's some people that I know you've gone back and forth to Japan. So there's some mystery around this, but it's good, exciting stuff from what I gather for Mikuni and for your team and for the opportunity that is in front of you. Well, tell us about this, what you can. I know some of it is probably very confidential. So
my title is CDO, Chief Dreaming Officer. So I get to dream all I want for free. So why not dream big, right? So my dream was 50-50-50. Why not have 50 businesses by 50th anniversary of Mikuni with 50 family members? These are all fun dream. And my CEO was like, no, that's too much, right? But then about 3 years ago, I started praying, what's my next move? What do I have to do as a team? And then my CEO, we're all getting older, right? So they're already thinking about retirement. I feel like I can work a little bit more, but so my son, I'm rushing him, but he has to be on right timing too. So I pray that if God opened the door, if you give me this much money and we don't lose control, so we don't lose any of our teammates. So I had all these conditions, right? And then one of my friends in Croatia, he said, you got to meet this gentleman. I said, all right. Why? He's like you. He's a big dreamer. I said, oh, okay. And he came last December. We met for the first time, and he went back. He said he sent us an offer, more than I imagined. And he said, well, we're in Japan, so you do how you want to run it, you can run it. And then I said, well, my dream is 50. He said, why not we start with 100? And say, who is this gentleman, right? And then find out that if you go to Japan, you see that Don Quixote, there's a grocery stores. He owns like 650 of them in Japan.
Oh, okay.
He's a founder. And he has 100 all over the Asia. He has LA, he bought the Gelsons and Market, and he has all the restaurants. He just started expanding. And then it was the right time, right moment. He came in for us and for them too. And more we talk about it. And then, first they ask us 2,000 questions, right? With, 50 plus lawyers. So my CEO, my brother-in-law said, we don't have to sell that bad, right? So they start negotiating, and April 2nd, they told us to go to Japan to do the cherry blossom and signing. Oh. So we went there, found out April 2nd, that's the day in 85, 40 years ago, we moved to America with nothing.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like, like Moses, right? 40 years ago, we had nothing, nobody we knew, no English. Now, 40 years later, we're signing this paper, and I didn't know what to say other than miracle, right? Yeah. Everything was God's plan, and I told him too, it's a God's plan that we're together and that you're helping me out to do this and stuff.
So that was April 2nd, and now here we are, July, 3 months. And I imagine you've had to communicate this to your teammates. Oh, we're still communicating.
We had a meeting last night. We had a meeting this morning.
Because there's changes that happen when you're going to grow that fast.
And in Japan and U.S. is totally different to how they do that. Yeah, they asked me, would you like to go Palau for 2 years? I said, no, I love my family here. I love America. I'm not leaving.
So what kind of changes will it mean for, obviously you're going to open up more locations. So that when a company grows like that, it creates opportunity like crazy for the people that work there, the people that are a part of that growth. What's been the reaction from your team, and then what kind of opportunities do you see that really creating for your team?
In the beginning, it was not easy. We have to explain to them. They're worried about, we're going to change the system, we're going to let people go. So we want to make sure it's good for us. So for us, we're doing a workshop right now, trying to train more people. And then we want to give all these managers opportunity to the GM or head chef, so they can keep going to the next level. So I want them to be excited. So I do every month encouragement video for our team to make sure, not only, skill or management, we want to help them mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I want them to be ready and excited, be happy about it, be appreciative. So that's what we're working on right now.
Yeah. So you've got 10 locations now. The goal is to get to 100. Is there a time frame that you're looking to do that within?
So right now they have restaurants in Torrance, Irvine, all those restaurants. We're going there to change to a Mikuni style right now.
Oh,
so in August, I'll be there having a sushi class, partying. So if you are in LA, you should stop by.
Yeah, if you're going to be there, I'll go down there.
We're going to have so much fun.
So right now, there's another brand. How many restaurants are there?
There's third one is opening, fourth one is opening. So more restaurants are coming.
Okay, and I think I have to assume it makes sense to cluster them that way. From a management standpoint, there's not as much travel time, or people can get promoted to go to another restaurant from within. Yeah, very cool. So are there more planned for the Sacramento area, or is that still sort of
I think we're pretty saturated here.
Oh, we are? Okay.
So I've been begging, asking to go, let's say Boise or Nashville, Texas. Sacramento people moved there too. So I want to follow where they moved to. So I know they'll support us. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm going to find out where they moved to. And
not Denver, though. You're not going back to Denver?
I love to go back to Denver.
Denver's awesome.
I love Denver. People are so nice. We had such a big restaurant. So, but we do it right this time, so we'll be fine there too.
That's great. Okay, so what did I not ask you? I want to make sure that we give you a chance to share your, more about what you're doing, or what messages you might have for somebody else thinking about starting a restaurant or chasing their dream.
Good question. I don't know. I have so many. You have to ask me questions so that I can answer your questions. But I don't know. Every morning, I have so when my oldest one start going college, I don't get to see him anymore. So I start sending him Bible verse, little, short devotion. So then my friend went to cancer. He had 2 weeks to live. He was dying. So I start sending him too. Now, how many years? 12 years later, I'm still doing every day to about 50, 60 people now.
Wow.
So that people thank me all the time, but actually I'm doing for me. Every morning I have a time to think about life, think about business, think about personal life. Where do we want to go from here? What's the things that we have to work on? So that morning time is, for me, it's a key right now to keep kaizening myself every day.
That's awesome. Okay, so last question. I know your faith is very important to you, and we don't really shy away from that here, even though I don't necessarily bring something like this up on every show. It's been such a big part, obviously, with your father being a pastor, and I've seen you. I haven't been going to Bayside. I used to go to Bayside Church. I haven't been going lately, but I've seen you there, and I know that is just something that's ingrained in your family. What does that mean in terms of like the way that you live your life?
I mean, like Job said, we came with nothing. We leave on this earth nothing. So everything we have is God. So that's how I see it. And for me, to have whole family have same purpose for this life in everything we do, that solves so many problems, right? So every month, the whole family, we get together to discuss about life and a little devotion. And even my dad too, even though he has Alzheimer, he still show us what to do. If you go there right now at the care home, he still reads Bible. He prays every day, even though maybe he's reading the same passage every morning. But he's showing us what's the most important for our life, and everything else is just extra. So we want to hold. We don't want to hold on to our possessions or money or anything. Those are very important, but you can't take them anyway.
Before the show, we were talking about that I had a family compound, and that my grandkids live out there. And you said that you have a rule within your family: everybody has to live within a certain distance from each other. Yeah, unwritten rule. Okay, so it's kind of like a strong encouragement. We all got to live close together. Yes. What's everybody's reaction to that? Some people want their distance.
My son lives on the same street now.
Okay.
And then my other son is about 3 minutes away. My daughter is 7 minutes away. My youngest one is getting married this September. And
I heard that rumor.
Yeah, he's a 5th generation Japanese and the 4th generation dentist in Mountain View. And his goal was to take over his business, his parents' business. That's parents' dream too.
Oh, okay.
So
you might have one living in Mountain
so
View?
I told him I had a contract, so we had a big meeting, had a dinner, and he went through everything. Like, for example, our family get free dental work. He signed that off. He did everything except that thing. He said, I'm sorry, I can't guarantee. But I've been working with my daughter after a couple of years working with them. Yeah. And she started having a baby.
Yeah. They tend to go to mommy.
Yeah.
They tend to go to the
Roseville. And I guess he has to find the associate or open the dental work here.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
So cool. Well, I love it. Well, thank you for what you do. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for being back. A lot has changed in the last 10 years since you were on the show, but one thing that never changes is that just what a humble, sweet person you are, and we're lucky to have you. I'm lucky to know you.
Thank you so much. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thanks for watching today's show. My goal for every episode is that you find a takeaway, something tangible you can use in your business today. And if you have a comment about a favorite takeaway, feel free to put it in the box below. And if you have a topic that you'd like me to bring up on the show, don't forget to let me know. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship. Because at Haney Biz, we are always by your side.